George Parr, you're an investment banker.
Yeah, I am, but I do hope this isn't going to be about bankers' bonuses. You know, it's...
No, it's about the future of the world economy.
Well, so long as it's nothing important.
Right. I'd like to read you something that was written on the 25th of March last year in the Financial Times by Martin Wolf.
Oh, well, if you have to, I suppose, yes,
right.
All right.
He says, remember Friday, March the 14th, 2008? It was the day the dream of free market capitalism died. For 3 decades, we have moved towards the market-driven financial systems. By its decision to rescue Bear Stearns, the Federal Reserve, an institution responsible for monetary policy in the US, chief protagonist of free market capitalism, declared this era over.
But that was it was over a year ago. We've moved on from that. I remember there was a lot of that sort of talk around that time. I remember the head of Deutsche Bank, I can't remember his name, but he said he no longer believed in the market's capacity to heal itself. You know.
I see.
But we've got over all that. Everything's changed.
In what way?
Well, in the sense that nothing has changed. I mean, a year ago we were all talking about the end of capitalism. Now we just talk about a few technical tweaks to the system, like whether the Bank of England should put 125 billion or 200 billion into quantitative easing.
And you don't think that's important?
Well, I don't know. I mean, what's a few £billion here or there these days?
Yes, unless you're talking trillions, no one takes you seriously. And how is your bank doing?
My bank? Oh, yes. It's doing quite well. We're quite profitable.
Mm-hmm. But not with CDOs and derivatives.
Proprietary trading? Oh, certainly not. No, heaven forbid. No. Commodities, fixed interest markets, liquid debt securities, that sort of thing.
All the boring things.
All the boring things, precisely, yes.
But there's been a lot of controversy, hasn't there, about the bonuses you've started to pay your executives. I mean, several £1 million.
Well, look here, you can't have it both ways. Everybody says banks have got to be boring. Well, they've got to have an incentive to be boring. Otherwise, they'll start, taking stupid risks again.
You can't help yourself.
Can't help ourselves as bankers. No, show me a stupid risk and I will take it.
But what would stop you? I mean, what sort of incentives are we talking about?
Well, large sums of government money. That's the sort of thing, really. And but you see, you must understand what bankers do. We don't make furniture. We don't write novels. We make money. That's what we move money around. And so keeping, a lot of it for ourselves is what counts for us as job satisfaction.
So as bankers, you're going to have to go back to doing the simple things.
The simple things, exactly. And, it's quite nice, really. After years of making money out of things I didn't understand, it's rather nice to make a bit of money out of something I do.
Which is what?
Well, essentially, paying savers next to nothing and charging borrowers lots. I mean, I'm not very good with figures, but I do understand that.
But you're only able to do that, aren't you? Because the taxpayer's given you billions of pounds. Doesn't that worry you?
Why should it? It means we can lend people their own money and charge interest on it.
And that is the future of banking?
Very much the future of banking, certainly not more than CDOs or the strange and complex financial instruments that we've been used to. I used to come home from the office sometimes and my wife would say to me, "What did you do today, darling?" And I said, "I made £2 million." And she said, "How?" And I said, "I haven't the faintest idea."
Mm-hmm. So you blame the derivatives?
Well, I certainly blame the people who thought them up. Spotty-faced, ghastly, spotty-faced mathematicians, awful people. You couldn't have a decent conversation with them. I mean, they wouldn't know a Petrus from an Alcopop. And of course, commercial bank customers, they were much worse than that.
In what way?
Well, ideas above their station, up to their ears in debt. They thought if they had a bigger mortgage, they could get a bigger house. They thought if they had a bigger house, they would be happy. It's pathetic. I've got 4 houses and I'm not happy.
But wasn't it the reckless lending into the property market that was the root of this crash anyway?
Well, look, I've had 40 years' experience of the City of London, and if I've learned nothing else, and I have learned nothing else, it's that there is a rule that property values never go on rising forever.
That's a rule.
That's an absolute cast iron rule. They never have, and they never will, and only a complete fool would think otherwise.
I see, yes.
Except that just this once we thought they would.
Go on rising forever.
Go on rising forever. But then we thought we'd found a way where, even if they did go on rising forever, we wouldn't have to worry about it.
Oh, this is some securitization.
Securitization. You see, the problem about lending money to people who haven't got the glimmer of a chance of paying it back is that there's a risk.
That they won't be able to pay it back.
No, that's not a risk, that's a cast iron certainty. No. The risk is that in some very complicated way, the bank will lose money. Now, what happens with securitization? You see, before securitization, we could see the risk. It was there. We had it, you see.
Yes.
And then, after securitization, what that did was, the risk was sort of out there somewhere. Nobody knew.
No.
But then we look back and my God, it was still there after all.
And this is what led to what a lot of people think should be put a stop to, which is the so-called casino banking.
Oh, well, now, there's been a lot of loose talk about casino banking. Personally, I think there should be more of it, not less.
Why?
Well, because, as I understand it, in a casino, the bank always wins. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a gambler, at least not with my own money.
But now, I mean, the bank can't possibly lose, can it? Because, I mean, for example, £1.5 trillion has been spent in the UK on bailing out banks, which is a total loss per household of £31,000.
But I mean, that's not hardly anything, is it really? But look and see what happens when a bank was allowed to go bust, when Lehman's was allowed to go bust. The entire financial system panicked.
But was the panic justified? I mean, was it necessary?
Bankers panic. I'm a terrible panic. I have to see a spider. Ooh. No, they do. Bankers always panic a lot. The important thing is that to get back into some kind of stability, the panic has to be stopped, whatever it costs.
Stopped? Oh, no. Don't tell me how it should be stopped. By giving the banks enormous amounts of money.
That's always a good thing, isn't it?
Yes. So why was Lehman's allowed to go bust and not bailed out?
Well, that's an interesting question. I think the fundamental structural issue was that nobody on Wall Street liked Dick Fools.
The CEO of Lehman's.
Yeah, nobody liked him. And he, of course, Dick did make a very fundamental strategic mistake in that never in his entire career did he ever work for Goldman Sachs, which practically everybody else involved did. But that's a side issue. No, the main thing is that politicians realise they must never, ever let another bank go bust, whatever it costs.
Which must be very reassuring for you as a banker.
Yes, well, it is reassuring. It's very nice to know that however stupid and incompetent I am, is not going to make any difference. And another thing that politicians have come round to, which pleases me enormously, is that somehow they have come to the conclusion that this whole problem was a problem of reckless government spending, and that's what's caused all the cuts, and they say, well, you've got to be honest with the public, and the public aren't fools. They must think the public are fool enough to have forgotten what it was that caused the cuts in the first place.
Yes. So how much of this £1.5 trillion that has been given to the banks, can I ask, how much of that is going towards your bonus?
Well, see, I knew it. It was all about bonuses.
No, I'm sorry, Sir George, but I mean, this is a very pressing issue, isn't it?
Yes, but there has been an agreement with some of the banks to limit bonuses. But personally, I would go further than that. I have a very simple solution to the whole problem, and that is that I would abolish all bankers' bonuses straight away now.
Well, that's very radical.
With one proviso.
Which is?
That all bankers receive full compensation for loss of earnings. And that's fair, wouldn't you say?
Yes. Well, Sir George, thank you very, very much indeed. Thank you.